There used to be a time when government and mainstream media's goal was to keep the public calm. In the event of any crisis or emergency striking, they wanted to diffuse the situation as quickly as possible. Well, those were the old days. These days, as we all know, the polar opposite is the goal. It's to gin up as much fear and as much panic as they possibly can. Latest example, World War III. It's coming. That's right, nuclear war. This is all you're hearing about from these same folks who brought you COVID for the last 3 years. You know, the death counters on the screens, all the perpetual nonstop tragedy stories, all the doom and gloom forecasts of millions and millions of people dying in carnage in the streets. And how did that turn out? Well, didn't quite come to fruition, did it? It's because these people's only goal wasn't your public safety, it was public control. And that's what they're after once again. So don't buy into those headlines. Don't be fooled. If you have friends and family that are starting to take a deep dive into this war thing, help pull them out and remind them, hey, how did this whole COVID thing turn out? Was everything they predicted accurate in terms of all the things that they said were going to happen? Did any of them really come to fruition? Anyway, that's that part of it. The other thing I thought I'd comment on really quickly is the New York Times. Yes, the New York Times, certainly no bastion of right-wing ideology. And they published an op-ed that a year or two ago would have basically canceled, well, it would have canceled the New York Times. The op-ed's headline was, "The mask mandates did nothing. Will any lessons be learned?" Whoa, New York Times, are you kidding me? Now YouTube, remember, these aren't my words. This is the New York Times, the old gray lady, okay? This was an op-ed that was published by Bret Stephens. I'm just gonna pull out a couple of key gems out of this. And I quote, "When it comes to the population level benefits of masking, the verdict is in. Mask mandates were a bust. Those skeptics who were furiously mocked as cranks and occasionally censored as misinformers, I'd say not occasionally, frequently, for opposing mandates were right. The mainstream experts and pundits who supported mandates were wrong. In a better world, it would behoove the latter group to acknowledge their errors, along with its considerable physical, psychological, pedagogical, and political costs." Oh, that would be super nice. However, the author duly notes that we better not hold our breath. "The people who had the courage to say as much deserve to be listened to, not treated with contempt." Well, I would agree. "They may not ever get the apology they deserve, but vindication ought to be enough." No, I don't think vindication is enough. I would really like to have that apology, especially in light of things like the Cochrane Review, which was a meta-study which validated the fact that masks don't effectively do much of anything. However, the drumbeat still continues. There's still politicians who will espouse this. We'll have mainstream media who will still say these are great. But finally, there's cracks in the dam. It is finally starting to collapse. And like I said, the New York Times would have never run anything like this months or even a year ago. And none of that would have happened had we just simply simply accepted the narrative and not pushed back. This is a result of people fighting back and saying, no, this is BS. This is not science. This is not truth. So same thing with the whole push towards nuclear war. You have to read between those headlines, push back, write your MPs. The situation should have been diffused long ago and can still be diffused now. The goal should not be to constantly keep fear and bring the world to the brink of nuclear war. Anyway, I thank you for watching. I will post a link in the notes section below to the New York Times op-ed piece. Share it with your friends who still somehow think that masks do work. Maybe tell them the earth is actually not flat, it's round, and maybe they'll see what science actually is. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. You can also follow me on my Rumble and my Locals account. And if you're on my Rumble, subscribe to the channel, check out some of my past videos, and I will see you next time.